During the full-scale war of the Russian Federation against Ukraine, the Russian army lost more than 600 aircraft, in particular, more than 300 military planes. Ukrainian military and political observer Alexander Kovalenko analyzed how many and what kind of aircraft the Russian Federation lost and produced in 2024. As the expert writes in the material for Obozrevatel media outlet, Russia lost 3 A-50 long-range radar detection aircraft. They are not produced. The Russian Federation also does not produce Su-25s, of which it has lost 16 units this year. The picture for other aircraft looks like this. Su-27, 1 aircraft, lost. No production. Su-30, 2. Su-30, 2. Su-34, 18. Su-35, 2. Su-57, 2. MiG-31, 1 aircraft. No production. Il-22, 1 aircraft. No production. Il-76, 2 aircraft. Tu-22M3, 3 aircraft. No production. Unspecified type, 2 aircraft. Kovalenko emphasized that most of the destroyed or damaged Russian aircraft are not currently being produced. Therefore, each such unit is a painful loss for the aggressor country. This is especially true for the unique AWACS aircraft such as the A-50 and Il-22M11. As for aircraft production, the peak year in the history of modern Russian aircraft manufacturing was 2014. Then, according to the Observer, the Russian Aerospace Forces received 101 combat aircraft of various types. In subsequent years, the figures began to fall. In 2015, 89 units were produced. In 2016, 72. In 2017, 49. And in 2018, 51. In 2019, 20. And the same in 2021. In 2022, when the Russian Federation began a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the aerospace forces of the aggressor country received 29 new and modernized fighters. We are talking about 6 Su-57, 7 Su-35, 10 Su-34, 4 Su-30SM and 2 Yak-130. 2023-26 aircraft were delivered, including Su-57-2. 2 aircraft were identified, although Russian sources envisaged a batch of 8 units. Su-35, 10, Su-34, 6, Su-30SM, 4, Yak-130, 4. Thus, in the period from 2019 and during the full-scale war, the Russian Aerospace Forces received up to 30 combat and combat training aircraft annually. Despite regular losses of combat aircraft, they could not return to the figure of 100 aircraft, or at least 50, which indicates serious technical and technological problems in the Russian aircraft industry, Kovalenko explained. Today, the rate of production of tactical aircraft in Russia does not demonstrate a sharp increase. Almost all processes are carried out at a small-scale level. At the same time, the volumes of aircraft production do not allow Russia to fully compensate even for those losses of aviation that it suffers in the combat zone in Ukraine. According to statistics from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, since the beginning of the full-scale war against Ukraine, Russia has lost 698 aircraft. We are talking about 369 aircraft and 329 helicopters of the enemy. Aviation market development expert Bogdan Dolintz said that the total number of aircraft that the Russian Federation had was estimated at more than 2,500 units. However, only half were combat-ready as of 2022.
The man accused of killing United Healthcare's CEO was whisked back to New York by plane and helicopter Thursday to face new federal charges of stalking and murder, which could bring the death penalty if he's convicted. Luigi Mangione was held without bail following a Manhattan federal court appearance that occurred shortly after he was returned to New York. He remained shackled at the ankles throughout the 15-minute proceeding, during which he told a magistrate he understands the allegations against him. Mangione was immediately turned over to at least a dozen New York Police Department officers who were in the courtroom and led him to a plane bound for Long Island. He then was flown to a Manhattan heliport, where he was walked slowly up a pier by a throng of officers with assault rifles. The federal complaint filed Thursday charges him with 2 counts of stalking and 1 count each of murder through use of a firearm and a firearms offense. Murder by firearm carries the possibility of the death penalty, though federal prosecutors will determine whether to pursue that path in coming months. In a New York State indictment filed earlier this week, Mangione was charged with murder as an act of terrorism, which carries a possible sentence of life in prison without parole. New York does not have the death penalty. His attorney said dual state and federal cases puts the defense in a highly unusual situation. "Frankly, I've never seen anything like what is happening here," said Karen Friedman Agnifilo. She reserved the right to petition for bail at a later point. Agnifilo declined to comment as she left the courthouse.
Luigi Mangione, the 26-year-old man accused of killing the CEO of United Healthcare, made his first appearance in a Manhattan courtroom on Thursday. Now, it was in federal court, not in state court where he had been indicted. That's because federal prosecutors have also brought their own charges against him. They have charged him with murder, a count that could bring the death penalty if he is convicted on that charge. Now, his appearance in federal court in Manhattan capped a whirlwind day that began with court hearings in Pennsylvania, and then a flight to Long Island on a small plane, and then a helicopter ride to Lower Manhattan, where he then was driven to the federal courthouse to make his initial appearance. In court, Mangione was not in the orange jumpsuit that we've seen him in at other court appearances. He was in a navy quarter zip, khaki pants, had shackles around his ankles, but his hands were uncuffed. He was relatively unemotional, calm during the proceeding, leaning into a microphone and saying yes when the judge asked him if he understood his rights and if he understood and had read the allegations against him. Now, prosecutors asked for and they received detention. That means that Mangione is going to jail. He is not being released. His lawyers have not yet asked for bail. It wasn't clear if he had any family or supporters in the courtroom. However, there were some people outside the court that used this court appearance as an opportunity to show support for Mangione and to criticize the healthcare industry. Mangione's lawyer, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, took issue with charges both in state court and in federal court. During the appearance in federal court on Thursday, she said that the charges seemed at odds with each other. In the state case, Mangione is accused of committing murder as an act of terrorism, instilling fear in other people. While in the federal case, he is accused not only of murder, but also of stalking, tracking his victim, his alleged victim, Brian Thompson, for days before the killing. Friedman Agnifilo says that involved targeting, the allegation involves targeting and stalking a specific person, an individual, in the federal case, not instilling the fear that state prosecutors allege.